Welcome to Kansas Ag Report. I'm Ken Rogers. On the program this week, we focus on technical education. With many job openings going unfilled, we talk with a couple of regional leaders on what they're doing to prepare for future workers. Eric Burks, the president of NCK Tech in Beloit, and Ron Rosati, the dean of the College of Technical Agriculture in Curtis, Nebraska, which is just across the state line. We also have features from Kansas Corn, Kansas Wheat, and the Kansas Farm Bureau, and our weekly updates from the Kansas Livestock Association and Paragon Ag Advisors. The Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by Kansas Farm Bureau, a grassroots organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919, kfb.org. Kansas Wheat Commission, leading in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online, kswheat.com. And Kansas Corn, building the future of Kansas Corn. Online, kscorn.com. Well, much of the U.S. can expect a mild winter, that according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. The agency released its seasonal outlook this week, and that covers from December through February. The forecast expects mostly warmer than normal weather this winter for the western two-thirds of the country. No areas of the U.S. expected to see any prevalent cooler than normal conditions, they say. As for precipitation, they say we have equal chances to see wetter or drier weather this winter. Now, the precipitation map looks a lot like how a signature El Nino weather typically plays out in the U.S., and that's no accident. NOAA currently pegging the chance of those conditions developing this winter between 70 and 75%. Well, it's been a pretty good week to make some progress on fall harvest. Due to the rain and snow 2 weeks ago, harvest and wheat planting are behind last year a little bit, but last report still had at or near or ahead of the 5-year average.
Hi, I'm Sue Schulte with Kansas Corn, and here's what's going on with the Kansas Corn Growers Association. The association represents its members in policy and regulatory issues and promotes Kansas corn. Here's an update. Kansas Corn, working with the National Corn Growers, continues to push for passage of the 2018 Farm Bill. The current Farm Bill expired on September 30th. The 2018 Farm Bill remains in conference committee, where committee members, including Kansas Senator Pat Roberts and Congressman Roger Marshall, hammer out the differences between the House and Senate versions of the Farm Bill. The hope is that the conference committee can come to an agreement on a Farm Bill and get passage in the House and Senate during the lame duck session before the end of the year. If this does not happen, Congress will have to work for an extension. Although the largest Farm Bill programs won't be immediately impacted by the 2014 bill's expiration, funding for 39 smaller programs, including the Foreign Market Development Program, expired with the 2014 Farm Bill. KCGA wrote a letter to Senator Roberts and Congressman Marshall urging them to continue diligent work to complete the Farm Bill in conference committee, and highlighted the consequences of loss of funding for the Foreign Market Development Program. Kansas Corn staff continues to work closely with our congressional delegation, other Kansas commodity groups, corn associations in other states, and the National Corn Growers staff on Farm Bill issues. Find out more by following Kansas Corn on social media or by visiting our website at kscorn.com.
Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web, oldeseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. Kansas Livestock Association, supporting members' business interests and meeting consumer demands. KLA.org. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. grassandgrain.com. And Kansas Grain Sorghum, growers working together. More at ksgrainsorghum.org. One of the trending educational opportunities is technology and trade schools. This isn't your grandpa's drafting class, though. Eric Burks, president of NCK Tech in the Mitchell County community of Beloit. They are one of the leaders in technical training and job placement in the nation.
We are number one in the nation for 2 years in a row in job placement. And that's because these skills are in such high demand. I mean, people need people that can do things with their hands, and that's what we train on, hands-on skills, high-tech careers, and we get them right into jobs, and they're out there doing that blue-collar work that some people are scared of, but we need a lot of people that are willing to do that.
It seems like over the last few years, kind of the role of a school like yours has changed. That it's maybe not what we had 30 years ago, 40 years ago, when these things first got started.
Sure. No, I will tell you what, the students that we have here are very capable, very intelligent students, and not to say that those that were before them weren't, because they certainly were, but the skills that are needed now are so high tech. I mean, I always say people crack their laptop open before they crack the hood open on a car anymore, because you have to know the computerized part of that, and so that really is not just in cars, but in so many aspects of what we train in. So it has changed tremendously with technology. As it has changed.
And also talk about in the coming days, you're going to have an opportunity for not only high school students, maybe some non-traditional students to come and to look at what is available now through vocational education.
Absolutely. We have people come out for what we call Showcase Day. We have an event on October 30th in Hayes, on our Hayes campus, and November 1st here on the Beloit campus. And they get to come in and experience hands-on 2 or 3 different programs. They'll get to sit with other students and actually go through stations and work through some of the hands-on skills, but also talk to them about what do they like about the program, how's their experience been, and really get an understanding also from some graduates from those programs on what the job market looks like. Because there's tremendous jobs out there, and these are not jobs where you live on the other sides of the track. These are jobs where you're living right next door to the 4-year graduates. They're good paying jobs.
Talk about kind of the whole system of technical schools, technical colleges here in the state of Kansas. They're kind of strategically placed, but they're all doing some of the same things that you're doing, trying to train that next generation of the workforce.
Yeah, we have 7 technical colleges in the state of Kansas. I was fortunate enough to be the president of their association for 4 years, so I've become very familiar with them and appreciate the uniqueness that each one brings. We have different programs at each one, but we also have some similar programs at each one. There are certain skills that are needed no matter what the community is, and in fact, that's what I tell people all the time, is that we train people in jobs that they could go anywhere in the globe and do these jobs. So the sky's the limit on where they go, but they're also needed right back here in Beloit, Kansas, and Hayes and Phillipsburg, wherever they want to be. And that's important for us, and I think for this part of our country and for agriculture.
Folks can find more information about NCK Tech. How can they do that?
They can go to our website. That's the best place, www.ncktc.edu.
Well, President Burks says that the technical colleges in the state work with the other universities to make a smooth transition if a student would like to pursue an associate or bachelor's degree. Sounds like a great opportunity. Well, when we return, a conversation with the leader of a unique ag college in Nebraska that gets several students from the sunflower state. We caught up with Dr. Ron Rosati, the Dean of the College of Technical Agriculture, a couple of weeks back at Husker Harvest Days. Stay with us. We're at Husker Harvest Days near Grand Island, and pleased to be joined now by Dr. Ron Rosati, who is the Dean of the College of Technical Agriculture in Curtis. Dr. Rosati, another year is underway, and it seems like every time we turn around, you continue to have exciting news coming from Curtis.
There's a lot of great things going on campus, and it has been a role for a number of years now. It's a wonderful institution, and that's reflected in the quality of the graduates and the enrollment. And some of the big news that we have this semester, for example, is that we are hitting a record enrollment of full-time students. This is the highest enrollment we've had in 23 years on campus, highest enrollment of full-time students. And that's very exciting. We've got some really high-quality students. It's great for the faculty, it's good for the staff, and it's very nice for the students.
And talk about how, under your leadership and your staff, have really made sure that NCTA is a very vital cog to the whole UNL system.
We play a critical role in the system. It's a focus on workforce development. We're the only 2-year college in the University of Nebraska system, and our focus is on producing a workforce for Nebraska's agricultural industries. And we have some assessment on how well the college is accomplishing that goal. And the best assessment comes from the federal government, actually. So starting about 10 years ago or so, the Department of Revenue, the IRS, started tracking graduates from higher education institutions based on their Social Security number. So they track their tax returns based on their Social Security number, and they tie that back to the institution to look at how well the graduates are doing out of all the institutions across the country. And bottom line, NCTA is doing very well. As a two-year college, we're ranked the first in Nebraska and number 11 in the United States for graduate salary. And that's looking at graduates from two-year colleges in the high-dollar states, California, New York, medical science graduates, engineering technology graduates at the two-year level. NCTA graduates 10 years after graduation have the 11th highest salary of any graduates across the country. And when we look at employment, we're the number 7 ranked two-year college in the United States for percent employed 10 years after graduation at 92%. So the quality of the graduates is very high, and that's part of what brings in the enrollment.
And you also have a lot of tremendous industry partners. People are really continue to take notice and want their companies to be part of NCTA.
That's right. We work very closely with the industries in Nebraska to make sure that what we're teaching our students is important for the industry, that it meets the needs of industry. And as a result of that, the industries are very eager to hire our graduates. And today, for example, here at Husker Harvest Days, we spent a good bit of time visiting with our industry partners to get some assessment on how are the graduates doing, are these the right components in the curriculum, and the industry partners have been very, very helpful in making sure our curriculum meets their needs. They also supply us with equipment and technology that we use in the classroom, so that when our students leave, they're familiar with the various industry partners that they've worked with in their academic career.
We also haven't talked about the value because, again, teaching and getting folks placed to work, it's also a value. That's what NCTA is.
The Nebraska legislature made as part of our mission to provide access for students in Nebraska. Access is both academic and financial, so we keep our tuition very low so that students can afford to go to NCTA, and we keep our scholarships and financial aid very high. And the statistic, Ken, is that for the most recent data that we have show that 73% of our students receive grant and scholarship funds sufficient to cover the cost of tuition. Almost 3/4 of our students pay no net tuition due to grants and scholarships, and that's financial aid that's not paid back.
Quite a story. All right, Dr. Rosati, folks want to know more, so they can't see here at Husker Harvest Days, want to know about what's going on in CTA and Curtis. How can they do that?
Well, they can go check out our website, or they can give us a call at 1-800-3-CURTIS.
All right, very good. Dr. Rosati, always good to see you.
My pleasure, Ken. Good to talk with you.
Dr. Ron Rosati, who is the Dean of the College of Technical Agriculture in Curtis, has joined us. From Husker Harvest Days, I'm Ken Rogers. Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by Kansas Farm Bureau, a grassroots organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919. KFB.org. Kansas Wheat Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. And Agview.net, covering news and views in the Beef Belt and Western Corn Belt. Reliable and relevant, Agview.net.
All over the country, more and more communities are making the change to biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil. And the decision continues, improving the health and welfare for millions of Americans while adding billions to our national economy.
What does a brighter, more sustainable future look like in our cities and towns, and how do we get there? When New York needed an alternative fuel source to reduce carbon emissions, the city found what it needed in biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and Liberty Link that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
Spring is sprung, and Premier Farm & Home has what you need to keep your yard crabgrass free throughout the season. With a complete line of pre-emergents, you can stop crabgrass before it starts. Premier Farm & Home, 900 Southwest University Boulevard, or find them on the web at heycow.com.
Kansas wheat farmers have a unique opportunity to export wheat into African and Asian markets. Unfortunately for Australian wheat farmers, their crop has been plagued by drought and freeze. Australia recently lowered its production forecast by nearly 13%, cutting its exports to a 10-year low. This gives Kansas wheat farmers the chance to meet this international demand. Jay Armstrong, a farmer who serves on the Kansas Wheat Commission and recently returned from a trade mission to Nigeria and South Africa, says wheat buyers in sub-Saharan Africa are looking to the U.S. to help fill this void. Countries such as Taiwan, Korea, and Nigeria, who typically look to Australia to purchase the white wheat they need for their products, are looking to the U.S. to source hard white wheat in the wake of this forecast. According to Kansas Wheat CEO Justin Gilpin, because Australia is not going to be able to meet demand for white wheat, buyers are coming to the U.S. for hard white wheat. We are right now in the beginning of a long window of demand. This window continues through this marketing year and into next marketing year. Eric Burks, the CEO of Cornerstone Ag in Colby, says they have sent many samples of hard white wheat to Nigeria for them to do bake tests and overall quality tests. High Plains Platinum hard white wheat is being loaded in western Kansas to meet this demand.
What if sustainability were synonymous with U.S. soy? If energy efficiency, water quality, and soil health help define U.S. soy's value, that future is here, the time is now. To meet end-user demands, the Soybean Checkoff is committing to sustainability that's achievable, worthwhile, and enduring. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
The producer-funded Kansas Wheat Innovation Center was built to get improved varieties into the hands of farmers faster. Kansas Wheat, farmers advancing their future through wheat genetics research.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
What does a brighter, more sustainable future look like in our cities and towns, and how do we get there? When New York needed an alternative fuel source to reduce carbon emissions, the city found what it needed in biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and Liberty Link that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
I'm Carrie Frazier. I am from Cloud County, and I represent the 5th District for the Young Farmers and Ranchers Committee. The reason I'm involved is just because I have a passion for agriculture growing up on a farm, realizing that Farm Bureau offers that unified voice. Many of us as ag producers don't have time to dedicate that time to be in town lobbying, but on those issues that affect us, the laws and regulations that affect the ag industry every day. And through the grassroots program, every Farm Bureau member has a avenue to voice their opinion in what Farm Bureau will represent. The resources it provides for the ag industry, it's something to be said that there's still a Farm Bureau in every county, all 105 counties, and so through the Young Farmers and Ranchers, it's provided several leadership opportunities to step up and develop more as an individual from our operation, but also in our rural community. It provides that network of young farmers that's always crucial to have that network of other agriculturalists. Every time we come to, whether it's just a daily meeting or if it's the annual meeting where we see everybody together, it's very refreshing to come to these and realize that what we are doing, we do have an influence in, and we are part of a great organization. It's very worth the time.
What does a brighter, more sustainable future look like in our cities and towns, and how do we get there? When New York needed an alternative fuel source to reduce carbon emissions, the city found what it needed in biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and Liberty Link that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
National Cattlemen's Beef Association leaders told federal transportation officials the current hours of service regulatory framework is incompatible with the realities of livestock hauling. The comments were delivered during an early October public listening session held at the U.S. Department of Transportation headquarters in Washington, D.C. NCBA leaders emphasized the need for flexible regulations that encourage drivers to rest when they are tired. Under the current rules, drivers are incentivized to push through fatigue due to overly restrictive hours of service regulations. Livestock haulers currently are required to rest for 10 consecutive hours once the maximum on-duty drive time of 11 hours is reached. This forces drivers to decide whether to unload livestock or leave animals loaded for the 10-hour stretch. Both options present serious logistical and animal welfare implications. NCBA comments encourage the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration to provide livestock haulers the flexibility of shorter rest periods of 2 or 3 hours during a trip until the 10 hours total rest has been reached. Allowing haulers the option of multiple rest periods would provide the rest needed to ensure public safety and maintain the health and well-being of animals in their care, according to NCBA.
Good morning, I'm Darren Van Vactor with Paragon Ag. Fall crops have gotten a little lift as of late. A multitude of factors seem to be feeding the market over the short run here. Outside influences include the stock market taking a major step back over the past week to 10 days, the U.S. dollar holding the 50-day moving average, and the funds have been busy flattening out their net short position in corn and beans. Fundamentally, we've had a friendly October supply and demand report pegging corn and bean production and domestic ending stocks below pre-report expectations. World ending stocks for corn and beans were a bit more burdensome, but not enough to spook the market. Widespread rain and snow have brought harvest to a crawl. Now, the cooler, wet conditions are beginning to feed fears and rumors regarding worsening grain conditions, specifically in soybeans. If the weather straightens out, we will know in quick order whether the rumor is just that or if this is just another unfortunate fact on the year. Wheat, on the other hand, received higher domestic ending stocks and lower world numbers. Additionally, winter wheat plantings are ahead of last year but slightly behind the 5-year average for now. From the market standpoint, wheat remains in a sideways pattern, still awaiting a potential breakout. The always interesting markets can be frustrating. However, they continue to move and offer opportunity. You have to look in the right place or approach it from a different angle at times. Sometimes it's as simple as a cash sale, but many times it is not. If you want some help sifting through the info or finding a different approach, give us a call here at Paragon Ag Advisors, 888-452-8751. I'm Darren Van Vactor. Be safe and have a great week.
Agriculture information on your computer or mobile device. News and views on grains, livestock, policy, and opinions from newsmakers can be found by liking Agview on Facebook, and on Twitter, follow Agview News, a reliable and relevant source, agview.net. The Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by Kansas Farm Bureau, a grassroots organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919, kfb.org. Kansas Wheat Commission, leading in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online, kswheat.com. And Kansas Corn, building the future of Kansas corn. Online, kscorn.com.
Spring is sprung, and Premier Farm and Home has what you need to keep your yard crabgrass free throughout the season. With a complete line of pre-emergents, you can stop crabgrass before it starts. Premier Farm and Home, 900 Southwest University Boulevard, or find them on the web at heycow.com.
What if sustainability were synonymous with U.S. soy? If energy efficiency, water quality, and soil health help define U.S. soy's value, that future is here, the time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is committing to sustainability that's achievable, worthwhile, and enduring. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
The producer-funded Kansas Wheat Innovation Center was built to get improved varieties into the hands of farmers faster. Kansas Wheat, farmers advancing their future through wheat genetics research.
All over the country, more and more communities are making the change to biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil. And the decision continues, improving the health and welfare for millions of Americans while adding billions to our national economy.
What does a brighter, more sustainable future look like in our cities and towns, and how do we get there? When New York needed an alternative fuel source to reduce carbon emissions, the city found what it needed in biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil.
Well, that's our show this week. Be social with us at KansasAgReport.net or on Facebook and Twitter. You can also find the show in podcast form at CastBox.fm. Search Kansas Ag Report. Well, continued good luck to the farm and ranch families that are bringing in this year's harvest and those taking a leap of faith planting the winter wheat crop for next year. I'm Ken Rogers. Thanks for watching the Kansas Ag Report. We'll see you next week.